For today's headlines, Rody may yet endorse BBM according to PDP Laban. No time to fight Isko, says Leni. Whole body exceeds overseas vote goal. Colorum crackdown of MMDA continuing. Maguindanao IED blast injures 1. Pasig mayor urges urban gardening. Obiena faces tight schedule. World Health Organization strongly recommends Pfizer's COVID pill for at-risk patients. Good morning, I am Venice Bautista and this is Tribune News on Q. Today is April 22, 2022, and these are the latest news of this Friday morning. Despite statements by President Rodrigo Duterte that he will not endorse any presidential candidate, his party, PDP Laban, has remained positive that presidential race frontrunner Bongbong Marcos may still get his nod. There's always room for the president to change his mind, Cabinet Secretary and PDP Laban Secretary General Melvin Matibag said in an interview with Daily Tribune's online show Gising Na, aired live over Teleradyo Bandido TV. Matibag said that the president said he doesn't want to support any presidential candidate because he'd like to be neutral to avoid the narrative that he is using government funds to promote the presidential candidate that he will choose. Mr. Duterte has been consistent in saying he would not endorse any presidential candidate while backing the vice presidential bid of his daughter, Davao City Mayor Sara Duterte Carpio. Vice President Leni refused to engage Manila Mayor Francisco Isko Moreno Domagoso in a word war over his call for her to withdraw from the presidential race, saying she would not quarrel with him as the May 9 presidential election is about the country and not about the candidates. Leni, speaking to reporters covering her campaign events in Cebu on Thursday, described the upcoming elections as extraordinary and a bigger fight than all of us combined. The vice president, however, denied claims that she had warned of a destabilization plot or a chaotic scenario if she loses the presidency. Leni said reporters who have been covering her could attest that she never made such a statement, contrary to what was allegedly floated by her rivals. The claimed destabilization plot was first raised during the controversial Easter Sunday joint press conference of Isko, Senator Panfilo Ping Lacson, and former Defense Secretary Norberto Gonzales. A reporter asked them their thoughts about the alleged destabilization threat if Leni loses in the election. In the same media briefing, Isko urged Leni to pull out of the elections, claiming it would give other candidates better chances of defeating survey frontrunner former Senator Bongbong Marcos. The Commission on Elections predicts a high turnout of overseas voting for the national polls. COMELEC Commissioner Marlon Casquejo said that the voter turnout abroad might be higher compared to the 2016 and 2019 polls. Around 1.7 million Filipinos residing abroad are registered to cast their ballot for the 2022 elections, according to COMELEC data. Casquejo said the current number of voters who came out to vote had exceeded their goal. Overseas voting began on April 10 and will continue until Election Day, May 9. Tribune News on Q will be back after these reminders.
Duterte. Handa po akong magserbisyo sa ating bayan. Hinihingi ko po ang tulong at suporta ninyo para sa pagka-vice presidente ng ating bansa.
PG Party List, kasangga mo, balot 108 iboto. PG Party List, boses natin sa Kongreso. PG Party List, kasangga mo, balot 108 iboto. PG Party List, basic good. Atin to, pagkaisa ng marinig ang mga hinaing. Young and active leaders sa Kongreso, ang boses natin. Tandaan at iboto, balota 108. Civilian realize the projects we dreamed of. PG Party List, vote 108 na. PG Party List, kasangga mo, balot 108 iboto. PG Party List, boses natin sa Kongreso. PG Party List, kasangga mo, balot 108 iboto. PG Party List, basic good. Atin to, PG Party List, atin to.
Magandang araw mga katribu! Narito na ang mga makakasama nyo tuwing umaga sa programang Gising Na. Roy Pelevelo, Atty. Lia Badillo Crisostomo, Vernon Velasco.
We're back on Tribune News on Q. The Metropolitan Manila Development Authority, or MMDA, on Thursday warned it would continue apprehending provincial buses entering Metro Manila without the required QR codes issued by the Land Transportation, Franchising and Regulatory Board, or LTFRB. MMDA Chairperson Romando Artes said that the buses will be deemed colorum or operating without authority sans the QR codes if they would insist on entering private terminals within Metro Manila during the 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. window hours. Artes said that the permission granted provincial buses to enter the capital region during the Holy Week has already expired, and as such, they should terminate their routes at integrated terminal exchanges, he stressed. The LTFRB said it will issue show-cause orders against provincial bus operators over the alleged chaos blamed on the implementation of the window hour scheme and their refusal to ply their routes. Na nagkakaisang samahan ng nangangasiwa ng panlalawigang bus sa Pilipinas Incorporated denied that they were refusing to operate since their units had been on virtual standstill for 2 years already due to COVID. The group said passengers were stranded because few buses had been given the QR codes and special permits to operate. Likewise, many of their drivers refused to work after the MMDA apprehended some of them. The Police Regional Office for the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao, or PROBAR, reported that suspected members of the Bangsamoro Islamic Freedom Fighters, or the BIFF, detonated an improvised explosive device, or IED, along a road where the convoy of Maguindanao Governor by Maria Magudadatu was passing by. PROBAR Director Brigadier General Arthur Cabalona disclosed that a barangay secretary, known to be a staunch supporter of the governor, was wounded when the blast occurred at Barangay Upper Nangi, Upi in Maguindanao. Cabalona reported that the IED exploded a few meters away from the last vehicle of the governor's convoy as they were heading to their main campaign headquarters. The police investigators revealed that based on evidence gathered at the blast site, the IED had the signature of the BIFF, while policemen of UP MPS are already looking for persons of interest in its investigations. Cabalona had placed the police in Maguindanao under full alert status as the campaign sorties of political candidates in the province heat up. Meanwhile, Pasig City Mayor Vico Soto said that he would strengthen urban gardening in his city to ensure food sufficiency and to boost local tourism during the formal opening of an urban garden near a river in Barangay Ugong Wednesday morning. Soto said they will expand urban gardening further and that besides harvested vegetables, they wanted to be a model for a local sustainable tourism site. The mayor also inspected a newly constructed drainage at Paulino Street in Barangay Kalawaan. Tribune News on Q will be back. Stay with us.
Magandang araw mga katribu! Narito na ang mga makakasama nyo tuwing umaga sa programang Gising Na. Roy Pelevelo, Atty. Lia Badillo Crisostomo, Vernon Velasco, Kim Sancha at Chert Balagtas. Abangan ang programang Gising Na sa Facebook page ng Daily Tribune.
Ilabas na ang mainit na kape at samahan kami sa inyong pag-almusal, mga katribo.
Simulan natin ang bawat umaga with good vibes sa mga informative and recreational segments ng aming programa.
Maaari niyo rin ibahagi sa amin ang inyong opinion via Daily Tribune Facebook page at Tribune Now sa YouTube.
Makichika na rin sa latest showbiz happenings, mga katribo.
Kaya naman, magsama-sama po tayo sa
Gising Na!
Mapalutong bahay man o sumptuous meal for special occasions, sagot na kayo ng tropang Kalanpag. Dahil atid sa inyo ng Daily Tribune ang fun and exciting cooking show na Kalanpag, manood at matuto kung paano lutuin ang mga favorite nyong recipes. Sabayan pa ng fun and inspiring na kwentuhan sa kusina. I-upgrade na rin natin ang mga nakasanayang traditional dish ng pamilya. Plus,
Sa lipunan, si Harry Roque, ang spokesman ng bayan. Attorney Harry Roque sa Senado, number 54 sa balota.
Ang asawa ko po ay kameraman na kasama sa lakas lang sa Maguindanao Massacre. Si Atty. Harry Roque. Hindi po niya kami nakakalimutan.
Sa mga walang boses sa lipunan, si Harry Roque, ang spokesman ng bayan. Attorney Harry Roque sa Senado, number 54 sa balota.
ang Daily Tribune may digital shows na din. Dahil sa mas lumalaki at mas lumalakas nating tribu, handog sa inyo ng Daily Tribune ang mga programang magbibigay buhay araw-araw. Be informed at mag-good vibes tuwing umaga sa programang Gising Na. Be updated sa news and happenings sa Tribune News on Q. Mas kilalanin pa natin ang mga paborito nyong atleta sa programang The Athletes Tribune. Alamin ang latest entertainment sa programang What's Up. Ma-inspire sa mga kwentong hatid ng Perfect. Search lang ang Daily Tribune sa inyong Facebook at Tribune Now on YouTube. See you there mga katribu! Non-stop showbiz update ba ang hanap nyo? Sagot na yan ang aming Tribune Extra. Balitang entertainment at lifestyle, mapalocal man o international, meron kami niyan. Manood at makichika na kasama si Kim Sancha, Lunes hanggang Biyernes, alas 5 ng hapon sa Tribune News on Q at separate premiere nito ng alas 7:30 ng gabi. Mapapanood sa Daily Tribune Facebook page at Tribune Now on YouTube. Mga katribu, tara na't makiisa at matuto sa mga public service programs hatid ng Kalingang Katribu. Tuwing Lunes, nandyan ang usapang business na magbibigay tips at inspirasyon sa mga aspiring entrepreneurs kasama si Vernon Velasco. Tuwing Miyerkules, usapang pangkalusugan naman ang
You are still watching Tribune News on Q. EJ Obiena is facing a very tight schedule following his appointment as the country's flag bearer in the 31st Southeast Asian or SEA Games in Hanoi from May 12 to 23. Obiena, the 26-year-old pole vault star, is scheduled to arrive in the Vietnamese capital on May 8, at least 4 days before spearheading the Philippine delegation in the traditional parade of colors at the Maguindanao Stadium. Then he will compete in the men's pole vault event on May 14 before flying back to his training facility in Formia, Italy the following day. A reliable source from the Philippine Athletics Track and Field Association, or PATAFA, refused to delve into Obiena's itinerary, but stressed that he is raring to go back to Europe to immediately resume his training for the World Athletics Championship in Eugene, Oregon from July 15 to 24. The World Health Organization said Friday it strongly recommended Pfizer's COVID-19 antiviral pill Paxlovid for patients with milder forms of the disease who were still at a high risk of hospitalization. However, the UN agency warned it was extremely concerned that the inequality in access seen with COVID vaccines would again leave low and middle-income countries pushed to the end of the queue. U.S. pharma giant Pfizer's combination of nirmatrelvir and ritonavir was a superior choice of treatment for unvaccinated, elderly, or immune-compromised people with COVID, the WHO's experts said in the BMJ Medical Journal. For the same patients, the WHO also made a conditional weak recommendation of the antiviral drug remdesivir made by the U.S. biotech firm Gilead, which it had previously recommended against. The WHO recommended Paxlovid over remdesivir, as well as over Merck's molnupiravir pill and the monoclonal antibodies. Pfizer's oral treatment prevents hospitalization more than the available alternatives, has fewer concerns with respect to harms than molnupiravir, and is easier to administer than intravenous remdesivir and the antibodies, the WHO's experts said. And that wraps up the stories this morning, but before we go, we would like to thank the following: SM Store, Aradata City, Department of Tourism, MG Motors, Hina Motors, Security Bank, Empire East Land Holdings Incorporated, and Overseas Community Affairs Council member Alan Lin of Republic of China for their continued support. Again, this is Venice Bautista on Tribune News on Q. Stay safe, stay healthy, and stay at home. Good morning.
Catch the latest news on our website, tribune.net.ph. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Tribune Now. Download the Daily Tribune app on Apple Store for iOS and Google Play for Android to get the latest and most comprehensive news online. Daily Tribune invites you to join its Viber community, Katribu, to get updates on the hottest news on politics, business, sports, lifestyle, and entertainment. Emoticons of the Tribune mascot Tarsito are available on our community Viber.